I think they're both important.
Please don't give me an on the fence answer.
But sitting on the fence is fire, though. Like, you can see both sides.
Sitting on the fence is fire.
Sitting on the fence is fire. Like, you can look to the left.
That has to be the title. That has to be the title of the podcast.
No, honestly.
Sitting on the fence is fire.
Yeah. Like, you can look to the left and see, that's what they're doing on that side. And then you look to the right and like, but then you don't have to be in any side.
No,
like,
Sam, you have to pick a side.
All right.
Pick a side. Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome to the 30% podcast, episode 41. Sam,
man. Episode 41.
We've done 41 whole episodes, man.
It crossed over 40 last week.
If you've heard me saying the name Sam, it's because I have a wonderful co-host who goes by the name Sam, aka Are, aka Jedediah, aka the best producer alive.
Oh, thank you. You too. You are also the best. Are we both the best?
Nah, two goats can't coexist. You're
yes,
the
they
best,
can.
Sam.
Yes, they can.
How are you doing, Sam?
Thank you so much.
The best producer
I
alive.
appreciate it, Afam, aka the other best producer alive.
Oh, thank you, man.
Are you fishing? I feel like you were fishing that for that one.
I really wasn't.
You're just fishing for it.
I was genuinely giving you your flowers while you're here, man.
Fishing for flowers. Going flower picking is what you're doing. You're going flower picking in the meadows.
Nah.
In the podcast meadows. How am I doing? I am doing good. I'm doing good. Genuinely, I think I'm doing good. I choose not to complain. That's where I am. I'm doing all right. Oh, I have been going through a very unnecessary beat block. It came at the worst time.
Could you explain to the people what beat block is?
Beat block is the same thing as writer's block, is the same thing as... Wait, do people in the corporate field have blocks? I don't think they do. Anyway, so it's when your brain is... I don't know what it is, honestly. It might be creative fatigue, I guess would be a more useful term, where your brain is just not in its creative space, and so you don't create at the level that you usually like. The vibes are just off. Like, you start a beat and then you leave it.
So how do you usually beat block?
Oh boy. Oh man. How do I beat block? I honestly, most of the time, I just beat it with time. Right, so in
time,
yeah, and I guess it's recommended. Like, as producers, we tend to try, and as artists, I think for artistry, we tend to try and force creativity.
Yeah,
and because that's where our value comes from, right? Or rather, that's where our perceived value comes from. Is where we feel like, and I think that's the main problem. Is like we only feel valuable while we're creating.
Yep.
And I think as an artist. Okay, let me speak for myself. As an artist, I'm learning to value myself outside of creativity.
Outside of the music.
Yeah, so that when I'm going through like a pause, I'm going through a little valley of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I do not see myself through that lens. It's just
and
like,
that's so, no, I'm just saying that's so important. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I guess I was almost done. Yeah, you just value yourself. See yourself outside of creativity, and creativity is a tool, right? For everyone, creativity is a tool. Creativity is a means of communication. It shouldn't be my one and all, so that if it doesn't work or if I don't blow up, and I've had this discussion with younger artists.
Yes.
Where when they enter, we're talking about beat block, and now I'm talking about younger artists. Where they enter the game, and the only thing on their mind is, yo, fam, when I blow up, when everybody knows my name. And it's just like, all right, cool, but what happens if you go through a period where you're unable to create? And we've seen that a lot in like other artist stories, where they get to, like, maybe they go through an accident or something like that, and they're not able to create, even with sports, and you're not able to create at that level, and then you turn into like you go get into like a dark place and everything. So for me,
Yeah.
it's I treat beat block almost with that idea of, okay, fine, maybe I'm not creating right now. It's a struggle. I'm not saying that I'm here like, oh, I've got it all. Like when I really want to create and you sit in front of your laptop and you have the time to do it, and nothing comes out, it doesn't it doesn't feel good.
It's horrible.
Have you had experience?
No,
How do you get out of it?
Nobody understand. Well, if you're not in the music industry or a creative industry, you don't understand the frustration that comes when you're trying to make something and everything you're making sounds trash.
Yeah, even worse if like you're working with an artist and the artist is on a deadline and they're in the studio. Fam, it's the worst.
Yeah.
I had an experience where that happened to me in a studio, and of course I pushed through it, but it was one of the hardest things I'd ever had to do.
Yeah.
I pushed through the session and we did create a song. And funny enough, that song is actually one of the most loved songs that I've worked on. And people are like, oh, this is really deep. It's changed my life. I guess the artist was sort of going through a similar thing, and so that translated into the music. But that's the worst thing in the world, where it's like,
it's usually horrible, man, and it's so frustrating. Sometimes you want to just throw your laptop, man. For me, it just gets me so. But
how do you say you get out of it?
How do you get out of it? It's just through time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to stop. You just have to stop trying and just like come back to it in a different time, I guess, a different time period. Yeah, man. And the annoying thing sometimes as well is like you have to. So sometimes as a artist, you get to this point where you're like, like you get into a creative space when you're feeling creative.
Yeah.
But then also the frustrating thing is, in order to be creative or in a good creative space, you also have to push through the non-creativity but still try. So it's essentially what Sam said, man. It's just you have to also learn how to distinguish or disassociate yourself from the art, so that you don't value yourself with the art. Like the art is not you. It's just it's just a part of the things that you do in life. So for me, I guess it's just like, you have to make bad beats. Like,
true,
there's no running away from it. So if you have to make 5 bad ones before you make one good one. Oh, trust me, 95% of the beats I make are trash. But like, it is what it is, man.
The 5 are heat, though. I also think along with that is, and you said something important there. Along with that, you have to distance. I think also as creatives, we feel there's this whole thing of the creative space is the most important space, and so if I'm not in a creative space, then what I'm doing, like everything functions secondary to the creative space. Over the years, I've learned that sometimes we have to disassociate ourselves from feeling when it comes to creativity. Like sometimes we should treat creativity like work. Like if I have output, I have something I need to put out. I have a specific number of tracks I need to finish. I have this songs I need to mix, or whatever it is, these campaigns to work on. If I'm not feeling like that, usually what a creative will do is like, you know what, I'm not feeling it, so peace, I'm out. But then we also have to, because money's involved, we have to treat it like work sometimes. It shouldn't feel like work, but it is work. So sometimes you have to, yeah, sometimes you have to go, listen, I'm not feeling like it. I don't want to make beats today. There's no idea coming out. There's ways to bypass that, honestly. And that's the other thing which you could do too, is like, you could just go and copy something. Like just literally copy another song that you really love, something that inspires you, and just copy that and then like tweak. And that's one way to short circuit creativity. Try something new. Yep. Maybe create with other people, like feed off other people's energies rather than you just trying to force yourself to do it alone. There's so many different ways, but then I think when it comes to creativity, we shouldn't always treat it like a baby. Like sometimes you have to like, hey, it's go time. Like we have to create this thing. Just do it. If it doesn't come out the way you want it to come out, that's totally fine. That's not the major issue. The major issue is that you got off your feelings and you were able to put it into action, into work. You're able to get something out of each
No,
other.
I'd 100% agree with what you've just said, man.
Oh, thanks for agreeing with me, man.
Yeah. Would you say so on the point of copying? Sometimes that really helps, where you just like, if even copying, not necessarily like how the beat is made, but like just even the structure, like this is how they structured it,
Yeah.
and sometimes that stuff helps. Um, would you agree with the statement, good artists copy and great artists steal?
I don't, you know what? People have said that a lot. I really honestly don't know exactly what that statement means. What does that mean?
Even me, I don't. Where does it come from? Because
But
yeah,
it's really
it's
weird.
kind of problematic.
The only picture of the only artist I get in my brain when that statement is said is Kanye West. I don't know why.
Why the way he stole Travis's whole flow?
Did he steal Travis's flow? Again.
I mean, like when it comes to the whole sound with 808s and heartbreaks,
Yeah.
and
Was that Travis?
and what's the other one? The one that I didn't really like. Oh my god, look at me exposing myself. The one that came after that.
808 and Heartbreak. Dang.
Jesus.
Okay,
bro.
yeah. Jesus was a lot of. Well, but Travis had not really done that style completely on the outside, though. He was doing a whole bunch of trap and stuff, so we can't.
For me, those two albums aren't like my faves, but a lot of people say they were highly influenced. But you see, the thing is, like, a lot of people, when they heard those sounds for the first time, they were just kind of like, yo, this is the first place I'm hearing it. So you
Yeah.
think that Kanye West is
the
the one
origin.
who innovated it.
Yeah,
but
that's why he's a good picture.
So
of
would
that.
you say he's a great artist in that sense?
Yeah,
That he,
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, he's the first person that comes to mind when you think about that. I think a lot of his albums, and if you go behind the scenes of his albums being created, he gets I think Kanye is like a channel. He's a channel of creativity. So he goes and he sources for other people and sees what other people are doing, and then he like channels it into through him and does what it's becoming a whole philosophical. He channels it into like sort of molds it and presents it to us. It's almost exactly the same thing Apple did when they were creating their computers with the mouse and everything. We know those stories going around where they didn't necessarily think about it first, but they were able to present it in a way that it was digestible. And I think that's what Kanye West does. He channels, not that people aren't digestible on their own, but then it since he also adds creatively to the music, so he adds like a lot of
yeah.
It was interesting when I was, and not to go on forever, but then Hit Boy recently was doing an interview, and he said the song I don't know, are you allowed to say the N-word? Fellas in Paris.
Yeah, you're allowed to say the N word.
Fellas, I'm going to be safe. Fellas in Paris. That's corny. So the song with Kanye West and Jay-Z. He was saying that
the song with Kanye West and Jay-Z.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one you're referring to, because they have a whole album where they both released music together. So I'd like you if you were just a little bit more specific.
That's what I'm talking about. Fellas in Paris.
Are you talking about Otis?
No, I'm talking about Fellas in Paris. I need to stop saying fellas in Paris.
I'm trying to get you to say anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so he was talking about how when he made the beat, like he thought that was the best thing in the world. The most amazing. But then he had a horn section and he had like strings and all these things, and then Kanye West just came and stripped all of that off. And he's like, nope, we're doing this. And that's
doing too much.
Yeah, and that song became. So I think he's just a channel, all that to say. So yeah, I do think to some extent great artists steal. We are able to take and remold. Of course, if you just take a track, like let's say we're making a beat, you've seen type beats.
Yeah.
Type beats have gotten like a really bad rap in the music scene, for a reason. Like if you just take a beat and then you just like slap the same mode, same format, same beat placement.
But it works, man.
Tag.
You saw the producer who got the placement with J. Cole.
Yeah,
because he made a J. Cole type beat.
Exactly.
Fire.
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah, but we don't really see that happening a lot. That's the thing. With the top level artists, with the top level artists, I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense to you channel someone else's creativity through yourself and then output. So yeah, great.
Yeah.
I guess I would agree with that statement to some extent.
So you heard it here first, especially from Sam. If you're an artist out there, he is advising you to go around
and steal.
stealing other
Yes,
people's
please.
ideas. Yeah.
Steal ideas.
that's
Steal
that's
ideas.
what I've gotten from this conversation.
Yeah, steal ideas, but don't present them as stolen ideas. Present them as a new turn stolen ideas into new creations.
You heard it here first again. Steal and don't give any
feel like
credit.
you're trying to get me in
Anyway.
trouble. Try to put it on me.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
But Sam, I wanted to talk about. So I had a topic today, and I guess this is just a very hard pivot. So
no segues this time. No
segues this time.
Speaking about.
No speaking about.
Thank
so I was
the Lord.
listening to new music, and as you guys will probably know, I usually use the New Music Kenya playlist on Spotify as one of the resources I use for new music. And so I saw on New Music Friday Kenya, there was this song by Ssaru called Suluhu, which, by the way, Sam and I had kind of like weeks back hinted at the fact that Ssaru would be perfect to make a diss track on Tanzania.
Yeah, one of the females to do
that,
yeah,
which she did. But so the song is listed as coming out this week on Spotify, but the song Suluhu actually came out 2 weeks ago on YouTube, and it's Suluhu freestyle, and it's attached to a visual, and it got me thinking and asking myself. There's a trend I've seen, especially with more mainstream artists in the industry.
Yeah, the local scene.
Yeah, in the local scene, where they prioritize music on YouTube way more than they do music via streaming. And I wanted to ask you, Sam, what your opinions on that are, mainly because if you look at the music industry broadly, streaming is the biggest way in which music is consumed.
Yeah.
But clearly, the Kenyan industry isn't there yet. In addition to streaming being the biggest way in which music is consumed, we've said it a lot of times. Streaming is the biggest revenue generator in the music industry. I know there's a lot of talk about how artists get very little compensation via streaming. That is a fact. But in the broader sense, streaming is the biggest revenue generator, even if most of that revenue is eaten up by the labels and these bigger players.
Yeah.
So my question is, Sam, why aren't mainstream artists prioritizing streaming as such in the Kenyan music industry? I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, you mean, because YouTube would still be considered streaming, right? But it's video plus music.
It is, but okay, when I talk about streaming, I talk about the DSPs, the digital streaming platforms that are specifically for music. So YouTube is a streaming platform, yes, and there's things like YouTube Music, but YouTube isn't primarily...
Does anyone use that?
Use YouTube Music.
Yeah.
We can't, because YouTube Music hasn't even been made available in our region.
See.
Which, by the way, I hate when these platforms do that stuff.
Yeah.
It makes you feel so like
third world.
You guys are so third world, man. You know what I mean? I hate it. But anyway, that's not the debate for today.
Yeah.
My question is, bro, like why aren't the mainstream artists prioritizing streaming? Like, I find it interesting, and I wanted to hear your thoughts.
Honestly, I think number one, if just thinking about it, I feel like number one would be accessibility in terms of free.
Yeah.
Monetary accessibility. Like, we don't have to pay a Spotify 50 shillings a week or 200 and something shillings a month. Like, you could just, all you need is data, and you just log on to YouTube and it's right there for you. Like, there's no further commitments. And that is a really huge thing in this industry. Local industry, I want to say. That might be a hot take, but I think it's really interesting. Well, I think, honestly, I feel like it's culture. It's our culture to... It's in our culture to want free things. Like, we value free things maybe sometimes over things that we might have to pay for, just because of the accessibility feature, and we don't feel like we're giving too much. So that might be one of it. And of course, that the creators respond to the createes. Where
But okay,
where
I
you
no, go ahead. Sorry.
okay, where if I see that at this point number one, point number two, I guess we'll explain further. But then if I see that my people are they're more into YouTube and my numbers do better on YouTube because it's free and there are fewer barriers of accessibility. I don't have to go through the artists themselves. Okay, let me put that in a different point. But then so that's number one. That's free. Number two.
Okay, before we even get into your second point.
Yeah. Before I forget.
Yeah, your first point is that it's free and therefore more accessible for Kenyans to just listen, you know? Do you think that's holding the industry as a whole back because we are more comfortable consuming free content?
I do think yes. I think it is. That's now thinking about it again. I mean, my thoughts are going all over the place. All right, let me direct them. So your question is, do I think that's holding the industry back? I think it is, because the rest of the world, or rather the standards now, we usually use the standards as a gauge, and the standards have been in the streaming thing for a minute, and they prioritize streaming. We see first week numbers these days include calculated using how many streams are streaming. So it's become really important to the rest of the industry. And if we are looking to emulate that or looking to reach those heights as an industry in terms of the mode, not necessarily copy them, but just play in the same field. We may be playing with different jerseys, different boots, different tactics, but just playing in the same field, I think we might need to follow at least the main part of the industry, the core of the industry needs to be able to follow those same rules, streaming rules.
And the wider conversation is like you'll see like markets such as West Africa and South Africa. The reason why there is an emphasis for the wider music industry, so whether we're talking about the big three labels or just the machine, as people like to say, like I feel like they back those markets more because more people consume music via streaming, whether it's Apple Music or Spotify or Deezer or whatever, in those markets. And you will see whenever like they say, oh, we're going to set up a universal office, or we're going to set up distribution company X office or this office, they always only think about West Africa or South Africa. And I feel like it's because they have access to all these records and they see, wow, these people are really consuming music via streaming. And as we've said, streaming is very, very lucrative for the wider music industry, and that's what they're going to invest in. So I guess it's a big conversation, right?
Honestly, sorry, just on that point,
go ahead,
before you continue, honestly, on that point, I don't think it's only with music too. I think it also has to do with film. Showmax and all these other guys. It's the same. I've been in conversations with people in those fields, and it's almost the same thing. It's where there is more of a consumption in that mode, in the mode that the Netflixes and the Showmaxes are putting it out. There's more of a here. I saw people complaining after there was a new update of the Netflix app, and for some people it got rid of the free plan. And of course, of course, there was a war about it. It's like, this is what. Well, people are capping. They were like, "Oh, I'm on the free plan, trying to decide what plan I'm going to." I'm like, nah, you weren't planning. You've been on the free plan for years. But it's that same idea where I think West Africa, South Africa, we tend to there's a even though it's harder. Like I'll tell you, in Nigeria, it's a with data and everything. It honestly might be harder to access streaming platforms and all this business, but there's still a push for it. Like people are still doing that.
There is,
maybe it's just because we're more. But anyway,
Do you want to get to your second point before you forget your second point?
Okay, no, I didn't forget. I wrote it down. I'm like a studious young man.
Nice.
The second point I would say is on the artist side. Just thinking about it, I feel like it's much easier for Ssaru to upload her song on YouTube than to have to go through distribution. Distribution, because
Yeah.
now it's more direct. So YouTube is just like, I have the product, I upload it on YouTube, and I do everything I need to do. Distribution now,
Yeah.
to get it on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, whatever, you have to go through another platform, which of course introduces now it sort of feeds off the first point, introduces a paywall, right? So I have to pay
Okay.
for distribution, and it could be in whatever form. I have to go through a label. I have to, then you're paying in one way or the other, right? I have to pay a distribution in order for my songs to get on there. It's just so much easier for me to finish a beat and upload it on YouTube and be like, here it is, guys, listen to it. Here's the link, than having to wait. And then now again, when you're going through distribution, it introduces a different game where if you want the song to do well, just because of the numbers, the sheer numbers of songs being uploaded, is you have to upload it before time so that it can be considered for playlists. We talked about that last week. And do like extra marketing and all this business. It adds an extra element that maybe artists, I don't think it's laziness. I think it's ease. Not for everyone. For some people, they're just being lazy and they don't want to go through all the work in order to get their songs to do what it needs to do. But for other artists, I think it's just much easier to put it up on streaming. I mean, put it up on YouTube.
But I'm looking at the song, and it says it's distributed by Ziki Media, which Ziki Media is a fully integrated digital marketing agency based in Nairobi, specializing in helping businesses grow their online presence, blah, blah, blah. And also, it looks like the song is also distributed under Respect Entertainment. So obviously, Ssaru is not distributing her music
individually
on her ones. Yeah, so
on
so
her one.
there's
on her one.
Yeah, on her ones. On her ones.
Where'd you get that statement from?
I've been watching too much Top Boy.
It sounds like Top Boy on her one.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
So the thing is, like, I feel like that isn't a thing. Like, in terms of, like, she has obviously a team around her. She's distributing her music in a specific way. So why aren't you guys prioritizing streaming, or why isn't streaming like the first like point of contact for us listeners with your music? If you guys, because you know, like, it's already sorted, like we already have like this system in place.
Yeah. What do you think? Why do you think not? Why don't you?
I generally agree with your statements. I feel like
you.
you said, it's more accessible to listen to music on YouTube. And our industry is just not there yet, where, okay, this is the truth of the matter is Kenya, like, and I guess this goes way deeper than just music, man. I mean, we've recently seen the increase in price of fuel, like, by 16 shillings.
Boy, I heard about it from everywhere. Everyone is complaining.
Oh, bro, it's horrible,
every single
man.
person.
It's horrible.
Even the people
like
riding cocotenis on the side of the street and
bro, our economy is already so short, man, and it's just like, wow, like, we can barely afford like things like fuel now. And when fuel increases, everything increases, because all the people who import things via road will say, yo, we're paying this much for fuel, so these things are gonna increase. Like, everything just goes up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like right now, economically, we are in the gutter. And so even affording
trenches,
things
man.
for leisure, such as music, I pay 100 bob or 50 bob a week for Spotify.
Yeah.
You have to be of a certain like tax bracket to have the facilities for that, you know. So it's just hard. And that means, like, at the end of the day, we live in an economy where people would rather consume these things for leisure for free, because I'd rather pay for electricity. I'd rather pay for just my basic needs before I pay for music.
So
you know what I mean?
You said the government has a part to play in it.
Definitely, 100%, man. And so it's hard, because it's just like a loop, and a very negative one, where like, as much as our economy is gonna be shit, then our music isn't gonna be a priority for fans.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is, fans and casual listeners of music are the people who also drive the industry. And so if it's not a priority for them, simply because they can't afford to pay for
Yeah.
these certain things like streaming, we're not even talking about merch. We're not even talking about going for events.
No.
We're not even talking
just
about
the consuming
like other
of the
things.
music itself.
Yeah, then our industry is just gonna grow at a very slow pace. And if you now try and figure out ways to like really subsidize the cost of streaming, right? Now that's the thing. If you figure out, okay, listen, we're gonna make Kenyans only have to pay 25 shillings for streaming on Spotify.
Yeah.
Then the bigger labels and the bigger industry are gonna be like, well, that just means that region isn't very lucrative.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe we'll give it some time.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll look at that region 10 years from now,
And we've seen-
before we actually decide to come there.
We've seen labels do that, where they've come in, they've plugged in. It looks like they've been some
pulled out.
Exactly, some real.
I mean, there's
excitement
rumblings
and everything. And
there's
then
rumblings.
out.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying there's rumblings of a big streaming company being here and having a whole plan, and then having to pull out because they weren't really getting the value that they thought they would get within the time frame that they thought they would get it in.
Yeah.
And that's just a reality, man. And so now it's sad. It's kind of sad, actually, because you're trapped. You go.
It's a feedback loop.
You're kind of trapped.
Yeah, it's a feedback loop.
It's a feedback loop.
And there's a reason, to your point on the government. There's a reason why, if you look at the Spotify prices and Netflix prices, all these streaming platform prices, say that, wow. Oof, I almost messed up there.
Streaming platform prices. Streaming platform prices.
Exactly.
Streaming platform prices. Streaming platform prices.
It's a hard one to string together. There's a reason why, like, in the more established first world markets, the prices of streaming are higher. Because Netflix, I mean, Spotify will now say, okay, these guys it's like the default is they're willing to pay for this. So now we can play the corporate game and be like, all right, you want to, we can, it's like what, 1,000 shillings?
Because all the streaming
Sorry?
Yeah, all the streaming companies have raised their prices.
Yeah.
You're right.
Like in Denmark and all of them, it's like 1,100. I mean, not 100, like $10, $12, $15 for a month. While here you can get it for 50 shillings, which is like minuscule compared to that. So there's a reason why. Unfortunately, that's
50 shillings is what? It's not even $5
it's
now.
not now. It's like 3 point something.
At $5, what am I saying? It's not even half a dollar. Sorry.
That's crazy. And that's crazy that we still can't afford that. The government, bro.
Yeah.
The government.
Like, isn't that insane?
It's crazy.
Sam?
It's crazy.
And
it's crazy.
it's kind of sad. And then on top of that, the little monies that comes from streaming, we can't even account for that because our collective societies, our CMOs, Kekobo and Prisk and MCSK and all these guys aren't really distributing that money fairly to the artists. So yeah, I mean, I've kind of seen why I would rather release my music for free.
Yeah. And like with Ssaru, okay, now, so her stuff is on YouTube.
Or on a free platform.
Yeah, her stuff is distributed on YouTube by her distribution platform. But there's also a reason why they will choose to put it on YouTube first before anything else. So you can still still get distribution and everything. Of course, we get like a DistroKid and the other digital ones. They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, does DistroKid have an option where you can distribute to a platform first before other platforms? Maybe they need to introduce that.
Maybe on the higher tier.
Of course, they'll put it on the higher
because the tier I use for this, the tier I use for DistroKid, I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I don't think
that would be a really
yeah.
cool thing. I don't know. I'll do some research and see if there are any that do that. But then so it's their distribution is like, all right, we're going to put it on YouTube first because we know that there's going to be more of an influx of people listening, which might generate more revenue for both you and me, but mostly me. This is the label talking. So we'll throw it up there first, and then after a week, after 2 weeks, then we'll throw it up. Now, unfortunately, for the people who are listening on distribution and not running to YouTube, don't have their YouTube pages subscribed to and all that business, we are hearing her diss again long after the beef is over. So it tends to hurt artists also when there's not a central place where we do music, because then there's like buffering of time. I don't know if I'm making
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. So we have a long way to go. Is essentially what me I'm hearing here.
Yeah.
Like,
We need to get to the
because I get it from the
yeah.
artist side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm saying we need to get to the point where, sorry for interrupting you. We need to get to the point where now our choices are all right. I'm going to distribute it to Tidal first before to Apple Music first before I distribute it to these other ones. Now those are the money games that people are playing in the West that
Okay. So
we're not even there yet.
and then I guess we also need to really study the Nigerian and West African markets, because I don't know how far ahead they are as well. I feel like we're also in the same kind of box. What can we do, Sam, to convince or kind of shift the consumption culture into streaming, which is widely acceptable with the wider music industry? Because I feel like if that answer can be formulated, then we can see the wider music industry look to our region as one that's profitable, because more people are consuming music via streaming and they know how to monetize it, and they'll only ever look at us. So essentially the question is, do we even value that? Do we want to position ourselves where the West is now looking at us, or do we say screw that, we can figure it out on our own, and we can figure out how to make our music industry viable without necessarily having to rely on what the wider music industry is doing?
Yeah.
I guess that's the question. Where do you fall on that?
I think it has to do with the industry's goals.
Like now, what is the Kenyan music industry's goal?
Isn't that a good question? I don't think we
but
have
but
one
bro,
goal.
the goal should be to the goal should be to make it a sustainable
for the artist.
One of the goals, yeah, it needs to be sustainable for the artist, because that's going to motivate them to keep on creating content, right? And that also means, because the industry in quotes is also gonna be eating money from the pile of whatever, then even they stand to benefit as well. But if we are not finding it sustainable, then everybody loses, because then we reduce our output and our creativity, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, the value. So I do think it has a lot to do with value. Everything trickles down, honestly, to a few ideas, and value is one of them. If we as an industry begin to value our art more, we begin to put more into it. Of course, now again, that gets really hard if we don't have if I don't have the money to spend to pay a designer to come up with album art. I could rather just do it on my phone or on Canva or something, right?
That's the thing.
So we need, and so it's difficult in an economy that doesn't. Not everything is blame the government. I don't think that solves anything. I do think that because the art is in our hands either way, and there's very, very many avenues to make it work. I feel like if we value the art more and we put more into it, and we have a concerted, is that the word? We have a
concerted,
yes, just a togetherness in effort. That's what I'm talking about now. Industry goals in what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve, and then we can solve the foundational problems that we might be having before we start talking about the add-ons and the extras and how much to pay for streaming and all of that business. Once we solve art and its value in itself, and what we'd like to achieve together as a thing, not on some kumbaya.
But I think making it sustainable needs to be the number one thing.
Okay.
Because listen, if we can see like a artist like really thrive, and not thrive just on a local level, like on an international level. Like imagine you're an artist in Nigeria and you see Rema recently won an award, the VMAs or whatever. Yeah, you see that happening. you can see, bruh, this is sustainable for him. Like these guys figured it out. But you see, the thing is, they don't have one example. As we have one example, we have Sauti Sol, or we'll have Nyashinsky or whatever. But then they have multiple examples.
Yep.
You can point to Ira Star. You can point to Thames. You can
Davido.
point to Davido, Burna Boy.
Even the newcomers, Ashake and all of them.
Rema. Even the newcomers, man. The newcomers are thriving. As we have very limited examples. And I think if we can make... If our goal should be to make it sustainable so that we have multiple examples of artists who have it sustainable for them. Because I'm going to even just say this, man. They're even being in the industry, there are many big names who you'll see in the industry right now. And you'll be like, damn, that's a big name. But then you'll see how they move and you'll observe how they move and you'll realize
behind the curtain.
It's not big as you would have thought it is when you're not actually seeing how they move, man. There's certain artists who like will claim, oh, I spent 2 million to do a video. That's cap. And there's a specific artist who did that recently. Would you
like to break that news on here? So Afam is going to tell us who this artist is specifically and explain why he's calling this artist out. Afam, please go ahead. Have the floor.
No, I'm not specifically got this name.
You continue you just like there's certain moments where
you want me to say his name? Okay, there's reports on this dude Willie Paul about and he's like, yo, I spent 2 million on a video. That's cap. I'm sorry. I just have a feeling that's cap. Like, that's not necessarily like
anyone who's been following this podcast. I've been trying to get Afam to say names,
man,
and he never says names.
Listen, and I'm not saying he didn't spend a lot to produce that video.
Yeah.
He probably did, but I don't know if he spent 2 million. What these guys will do, they'll touch a figure to make it seem big.
It's
like
marketing.
I know what it is. And then when people see that it's big, that's when you think they'll now associate you with.
And the problem with that is
whatever,
fans are creative in themselves. And so if the artist tells us that I spent, let's say we take the same video and show it to two different sets of fans, and we tell the fans, the fans on the left that I spent 100,000 on the video. And then on the right, you tell them I spent 2 million on the video.
Yeah.
The ones who are 2 million, a good number of them are going to look for the 2 million in the video. And the ones on the other side, they're going to look for the 50K in the video or the 100K in the video. Yeah. That's just how fans are also creative in their own right. Like we take what's given to us and try and put the pieces of the puzzle together. So
yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, so I just want to get like an answer from you. Do you think that we need to kind of figure out a way to model our Kenyan industry in a way that's digestible for the Western music industry, in the sense that once we do that and figure that out, we can get more investment into the industry? Or do you think that we can just say, you know what, let's not worry about that. Let's figure out means and ways in which we can make our industry pop, not necessarily relying on streaming and all this type of stuff, but make it successful our way, our own way. Do you think what give me an answer. I want to know, what do you think is the what we should do as an industry?
I think they're...
I'm putting you on the spot.
You're. I think they're both important.
Please don't give me an on the fence answer.
But sitting on the fence is fire, though. Like, you can see both sides.
Sitting on the fence is fire.
Sitting on the fence is fire. Like, you can look to the left.
That has to be the title. That has to be the title of the podcast.
No, honestly.
Sitting on the fence is fire.
Yeah. Like, you can look to the left and see, that's what they're doing on that side. And then you look to the right and like, but then you don't have to be in any side.
No, Sam, you have to pick a side.
All right.
Pick a side. I'll tell you my side, and my side isn't a favorable side.
Okay.
I actually do have an opinion on this.
Okay. Let me see. So I think it would be more profitable. I think it would be more profitable for the future of the industry to do what like other industries such as Nigeria and them are doing, finding exportable, and so that again once it's being consumed, it makes it seem more important. It's like a reverse thing where
Yes.
it makes it more important to
Yeah.
them, then it makes it seem more important to us also. But that being said, I don't think that's achievable if we do not make it sustainable for ourselves. So that would be my first answer.
ourselves.
It has to be sustainable for us, and we have to value it at that level before other people can see the value. If not, it's just going to be picking. They'll just look and pick, and then once they pick that, there's no backing behind it, and so those artists are going to go out there and they're just going to fizzle out. And unfortunately, that's the
and
thing.
you know what, Sam? I think I couldn't have said it better myself. I think I agree with you. I think an idealistic way to look at things would be, we can figure out how to make our industry pop by ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's valuable, but in a realistic sense, we have to do that with a goal or with an aim
and a goal.
Figuring out how to also play the game in a more global
strategy
sense.
Strategy, not just
and right now, that's streaming, that's all this. So I think that needs to be the goal. How do we change that? The how is the big thing, and that I will tell you guys right now.
We shall leave that up to next. Tune in on the next.
Because man, I don't know. That's an economy type of conversation to have.
There's a lot that goes into fixing that specific problem, and that issue has been going on for years and years and years and years, and that's why I think we're just stuck in the same places. That foundational problem hasn't been identified and fixed, and so all the houses you're building on top of that foundation are not going to last.
Agreed.
And they will look great.
Agreed.
Honestly.
And they will not look great at all. Well, Sam, that's interesting. I mean, that's a conversation that's come off of us listening to new music and how we discover new music. But speaking of new music,
the segues are back.
What else were you listening to this week that caught your ears, tingled your ear hairs?
That tingled my ear hairs.
Yeah,
it just sounds like a gross statement. Dang, what dropped? I went to Wangeshi's album, Emotional Damage. Is it called Emotional Damage?
Nice.
Not Emotional Damage.
Emotional Damage.
Emotional Gangster. My bad. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to butcher that.
Oh, sorry.
Emotional Gangster. My bad.
Emotional Gangster.
That was produced by a friend of mine, Kaxi, and another person.
Kaxi, I met Kaxi. Kaxi is cool.
Cool, so I definitely support your friends, man. Support. So I listened to that. It's cool. I mean, I've been not producing with him, but then we went to the same college, and just watching people progress for years after is really cool. Like to see your friends doing the same thing and obviously at higher levels and all that business. So that's cool. Shout out to you, Kaxi. Shout out to Wangeshi on the album. The album was cool. If I'm being honest, I would generally, I think personally for me, I think I'm starting to expect more from artists. Like we can't be doing the same things and expecting better results, Like we have to elevate. It's part of the whole sorry, as a plane flies by.
So do you feel like there's a lack of growth?
It seems to be, it's a lack of growth. And I think that lack of growth is it's not identified by, but it's one of the landmarks of the lack of growth is our refusal to push boundaries, to do new things. Okay. I think the people who are going to last in the industry are people who challenge themselves to evolve. And not stick in the same sound, same type of instrumentals, same mixing style. Like people who evolve and do better things. I think that pushes the industry forward. We see that a lot, honestly, and we have these discussions. I know we don't want to mention names, and we try not to say it outright. But then because also we want to support artists, and we don't just necessarily want to bring down. That doesn't work all the time. But there's certain artists. There's certain times where we listen to music and we're like, all right, this is cool, but this is what you've done for the past couple of years, and you're fine. Your fans are happy, but if your fans are happy, then are you thinking about future fans? Are you thinking about getting more fans adding to that group of people, or are you just comfortable with being comfortable? So that's it. And I kind of got a little bit of that from the Wangeshi project.
I personally only listened to the ones that were like maybe 2 or 3 songs. Yeah, so unfortunately I don't really have that in-depth of a review. But yeah, I mean, shout out to Kaxi. And
yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's not. I don't think artists should take that as a slight. It's more of a challenge. Because again, we're all trying to figure out how to push this thing better, and we have to get out of our own rooms and be like, oh, this is me, and this is what I like, and this is where I'm comfortable. Anyone who says anything different is.
And that's advice I need as well, man, bro. Listen, even me, I get into like loops where I'm just making where I'm just making the same sounds, the same beats, and it's uninspired, and it's just and it's still because of that, and it's hard because like it's like them. You have to like push yourself to do things that are outside of your comfort zone.
Different things.
It's so difficult.
Especially if you've been around for a while. It should be part of like your goals is to evolve.
Bro, trust me. I'm there, man. Listen, Sam.
You don't have to tell me.
You know what I'm going through right now.
We're going through it, and you keep bringing these stories to me, and now you're putting me through the same thing. It's like, fam, you have to get to work, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, outside of that, I listened to let me see, X-Ray Taniua released a song with Mr. Butros.
Produced by Magic's Anger, who we haven't heard from for a minute since.
Oh, I know Magic's Anger on the beat.
Yeah.
The song is called Matokeo. I actually quite liked it. Then
it was
there
funny.
was Show Me Love.
It was humorous. It was humor rap. Human music.
And Butros is always a vibe. But there was Show Me Love by Fancy Fingers and Simi.
I like Simi. She's really dope. Hearing her with Sanel, musician, bro, that was healing.
Yeah.
It's healing sounds. So it's cool.
Yeah, that was okay. Yeah. Arigato Gozaimasu
healing sounds, and then
by
you're like,
Waidaka.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No,
I'm not speaking about this song. Good. I'm saying how it. But anyways, let me not put you on the spot. It's cool.
Arigato Gozaimasu by Waidaka, MJ Wemoto, and Keisha.
Someone's been watching some anime.
It was Amapiano vibes. Yeah. It wasn't bad. I liked it. Mangalam by Saint Ivo.
Say that again.
I mean, Mangalam. It's so weird. Like a lot of people have been using like Indian samples and stuff. Like remember the song that came out with Fancy Fingers and Bananas Overdose? Like it was like on some Indian vibes. You still find that name funny?
Her artist name just so humorous. Bananas Overdose. Why?
Overdosing on bananas, man.
Why? Potassium.
Sam, have you ever overdosed on bananas?
Continue, please, and just stop being disrespectful.
Okay, I shall continue.
Stop being disrespectful. You're being disrespectful to your co-host. That's crazy. I'll start a counterpod and destroy you. What would you do?
A counterpod. That's such a funny concept. Yeah, start a counterpod, please. There was AAA by Big Yasa. There was the song by Sammy D and Calligraph Jones.
Yeah.
That's basically what I listened to, more or less.
Yeah.
This week
wasn't like super stacked with music, honestly.
Yeah, to be honest, like even if you check the New Music Kenya playlist, like it was actually more than 50% not Kenyan music.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't really super stacked with Kenyan stuff, but I think the song that I would like to play was Chezanami by my good friend King Kirby. It was featuring Terian and produced by DJ Mura. Yeah. I'm really proud of Kirby, and just to see how he's upped the release of music. He's really, really putting a concerted effort into releasing music and releasing it consistently.
Yeah.
We really see the the motivation and the push.
Back
and so
back then Kirby
um,
was the one. Like he was one of the people who a lot of people
bro.
that I came in contact with were like him. So it's taken a while.
So
but yeah.
for me, Kirby is one of the first people who I used to send beats to who actually believed in me, especially when my beats were super trash.
That's always going to hit a soft spot as a producer.
Always, man, always. Because like I sent him beats and he would fuck with them. I'd send beats to so many other people and they would just not reply because they were bad. And I understand that. But like Kirby used to be like super supportive and be like, yo, and actually hop on the beats.
Yeah.
And that is part of the reason why I'm here today, because like I didn't give up because somebody out there, liked the music. You know what I mean?
Great.
So yeah, it's wholesome. But yeah, man. King Kirby. This is Chazanami.
Kuja nami, sema nami, cheza nami, cheka nami. Kuja nami, sema nami, cheza nami, cheka nami. When I read between the lines, I can see a different side. If I ever wonder why, I just need to look inside. Have a small conversation, show me where you're coming from. There's a space for understanding and I really wanna know. There's a place that we can vibe in and I know you wanna go. Get away from everybody, we've been getting really close. Said you wanna stay grounded, you've been all around the globe. And you haven't found the love you've been really searching for. Kuja nami, kuja nami, kuja nami. Sema nami, sema nami, sema nami. Cheza nami, cheza nami, cheza nami. Twende mbali, twende mbali, twende mbali. So kuja nami, kuja nami, kuja nami. Sema nami, sema nami, sema nami. Cheza nami, cheza nami, cheza nami. Twende mbali, twende mbali, twende mbali. Cause right now I'm on money too long. And baby girl, I know that I've been really loving you wrong. I wanna make it up to you, so I'll be writing these songs. I wanna make it up to you, that's why I'm writing these songs. I wanna make it right now. I'm on money too long. And baby girl, I know that I've been really loving you wrong. I wanna make it up to you, so I'll be writing these songs. I wanna make it up to you, that's why I'm writing these songs. I wanna make it up to you. Overtime, bado tuko overtime. Tunapiga shughuli bila compromise all the time. Innovative figure, hustle yangu sio localized. Local, international, na bado tuko borderline. Psychedelics keep me in a sober mind. Polarized figure with an open mind, organized, yeah. I told my guys, it's the perfect time to be immortalized. Kuja nami, baby, I can show you other sides. Kuja nami, kuja nami, kuja nami. Sema nami, sema nami, sema nami. Cheza nami, cheza nami, cheza nami. Twende mbali, twende mbali, twende mbali. So kuja nami, kuja nami, kuja nami. Sema nami, sema nami, sema nami. Cheza nami, cheza nami, cheza nami. Twende mbali, twende mbali, twende mbali. Cause right now I'm on money too long. And baby girl, I know that I've been really loving you wrong. I wanna make it up to you, so I'll be writing these songs. I wanna make it up to you, that's why I'm writing these songs. I wanna make it right now. I'm on money too long. And baby girl, I know that I've been really loving you wrong. I wanna make it up to you, so I'll be writing these songs. I wanna make it up to you, that's why I'm writing these songs. I wanna make it up to you.
That was DJ Mura, King Kirby, and Terrian. I like how they very very minimal part for Terrian. Yeah, maybe she, Loki, I feel like maybe she had more and they just edited the song. The song is good.
You think
still.
so?
Maybe.
Yeah, because like all I heard from Terrian on that song
or
was
whatever it was at the
was
end.
the ooze.
Yeah.
No, bro, there was a song by Terrian that I used to be obsessed over.
Yeah.
I'm looking for I'm looking for the song right now. It's an old song. Probably came out like 2016 or 2015
People
or something
have been doing
like
music
that.
for a minute.
I'm just looking for the name. Wait, Sam, please keep talking so that it's not awkward. Talk.
Yeah.
Wait.
So no, yeah, but the song is pretty cool though. I liked Kirby's and DJ Mura's. Maybe I liked the previous releases more than this one, but this wasn't too bad. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what Kirby has planned. He has released projects before and it's like been super cool. super cool, super interesting. I'm always like hyped to listen to Kirby. Since I met him.
Yeah.
But-
I was just saying the song by Terian was produced by Twin Souls and Casa. It was called Falling. I was so obsessed with that song.
Yeah.
It came out 7 years ago.
Wow.
That's a long time. Wow. That's when? That's 2016. Yeah, I was right.
2016 is 7 years ago, isn't it? Oh,
yeah,
man.
that's messed up.
Shoot me now.
But anyway,
I'm
Yeah,
done with this whole
please.
time thing. I'm just done.
I know it's horrible.
terrible.
But yeah, Falling, man, I really used to love that song so much. It's my favorite song.
Oh, she's
by
been around.
Terian.
Has she released much music? She doesn't seem like she's
Yeah,
released
she
a
just
lot of
doesn't
music.
release as much.
Yeah.
But Terian has been around for real, man. She's an OG in
Shout out
terms
to
of
the OGs in the game putting in the
Yeah,
work. But
man.
our industry now, that's the problem. Our industry is so new that even the OGs have to. It feels like
Still
they're still
work.
new.
It's true. That's such a true
The
observation.
scape is changing, so even they are having to adapt to the new forms,
to the
new forms
new,
of
the new
exactly.
yeah.
So no one is really an OG when we're all trying to figure it out. We're all in the same class together. So
fact. That is
they can only be
absolute
bullies.
fact.
There's only bullies
Yeah.
in classes, and we shall leave that conversation for.
But yeah,
another day.
man. Sam, that was a really good conversation,
Yep.
man. Thank you for having it with myself.
Why are you making it seem like I'm a guest on the podcast? But thank you for having this conversation with me too. Are you kidding
No,
me?
but that was actually a
It was,
very
it was.
very good conversation. But yeah, man, Sam, that was episode 41.
In
The
the bag.
in the bag, in
Thank you
the
to
bag,
everyone
like
who's
a
been listening. Like a
snack.
like a what?
Continue. Sorry.
Oh boy. Thank you to everyone who's been listening for the past 40-some episodes. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Thank you.
It's crazy. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, and listen, to those of you who are new to this platform, you can listen to us on
Spotify.
Google Podcasts, on
Google Podcasts,
Spotify,
Spotify.
on YouTube,
Yeah.
on Apple Podcasts, and on Anchor Podcasts.
Yep.
As well as you can find our social media platforms. It's going to be the 30% pod on everything.
Yes.
And you can find us on Threads, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, and on LinkedIn. Also, guys, we have received a lot of support over our nomination for the
Yeah.
People's Choice Awards.
Very
Just
much
want to
so.
say thank you guys so
Asante.
much for voting and listen, and just for listening, man. We're not even trying to win. We're just, like we said, we're just happy to be here. And
Participation trophy.
listen, guys.
Participation award.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys so much
Oh,
for even putting us in a position where we can be recognized as podcast of the year. It really means the most to us. And yes, sir. We enjoy talking about the music industry,
We
and
do,
hopefully these conversations can help shift the culture. And one day, Kenya can become a powerhouse in the music industry.
And we have
but yeah.
we have the talent too. We have everything too. We
We
just need to get to it. So
We just need to get to it.
get to it.
So that's it from me and Sam, and we will catch you on episode 42, which is a special one.
Yeah. Should we
it's a special one.
give them a little bit of a taste?
The
peek-
person
a peek
we are
into the window.
interviewing, the person we're interviewing rhymes with sushi bowl. Sushi bowl. They rhyme with the name sushi bowl.
And he
Or maybe we could say
does. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you in episode 42. Bye.
we'll catch you on episode 42. Peace.